Hello, how are you? Well, today's video is going to be an explanation on several things, especially the combination between content and, subject matter and the language, okay? The two things together, how to combine the two things together. So far, we have seen the whole game and life-worthiness in the choice of the topic and in the choice of the final task, and also in the choice of the tasks themselves. What is life worthy? What is worthwhile in a class, in life? How to choose something that students are likely to live in their future, that not only that they are meaningful for them, but that they are useful and worthy. Okay, and also we have seen playing the whole game and going from the whole to the parts, so not going from the words, for example, or from the language parts by parts, and then expect the whole, like the final product, but go from the final product and always try to ask students to reproduce junior versions of that final product that we expect, so they can improve on this final product and on this attempts that they make, so they can get to a final product at the end of the final task, but always taking into account the whole. This is something that is very difficult, because then when we are teaching, we forget, and we forget, okay, well, I have to teach report to speech. Okay, well, I have to teach report to speech, but I forget that what I'm teaching is maybe to report on some news, or to tell someone about something important that happened to me. So that is a different story. That's going from the whole. And also we saw smart schools, where Perkins talks about performances. So this has a lot to do with making learning visible. This is a concept that making thinking visible and making learning visible. I'm sure that you must have heard of this concept. There are many, many workshops going around that teach these things to teachers. And it's very important. I have seen lots of teachers struggle with evaluation and considering the students have learned when they haven't actually. They are maybe reproducing things by heart, or solving exercises that are similar to the practice they've been doing. And with that, I assume that they have learned. But if we take into account Perkins' point of view and understanding, taking learning as understanding, this means the active use of the new knowledge. Active use, not just a reproduction of an exercise, not just something they studied by heart, or they had to prepare especially. No. It has to be something that they can produce spontaneously, creatively. So in those cases is when I see that there is true understanding, meaning true learning. Okay, he speaks about understanding as true learning, and this is the active use. So we have to provide our students with constant excuses for them to prove that they have actually incorporated this and made them their own. So we have to give them opportunities to do performances, the understanding performances. So what they perform, what they do, show the teacher, what they do shows the teacher if they have actually understood, if they have actually and truly learned. So what are these understanding performances? Well, if they are able to analyze something, if they are able to compare something, if they are able to categorize or to explain or to justify something. So when they can do these things, then I can see if they have actually understood. But be careful, because you can ask your students, for example, to compare schools of the area. That's a very interesting understanding performance. But I have had a situation where the students prepared a presentation about different schools. They did research, everything was wonderful, but then they studied this presentation by heart. They Googled it, they translated it, and they studied it by heart. And when I went to the course to ask, to tell me about the school that they thought was really good and to describe it, they couldn't even understand the question. So that is not an understanding performance. So we have to be very careful with how we make that understanding and that thinking visible. Okay? So this is just a short video to make like a summary of what we've been doing. Yes? Making learning whole, understanding performances, higher order thinking, like in Perkins terms, we have problem solving, epistemic level, inquiry level, which is very similar to Bloom's taxonomy, and also take into account the understanding performances, because we have to see, we have to make that learning visible. We have to really see that students have actually incorporated their learning. And we are going to see this combination between content and language. Content and language. Because sometimes we say, what is the topic that you're teaching? And we automatically say, present continuous. That's not the topic. Or what are you teaching? I'm teaching the present tenses. Okay, that's not it. Because we are teaching the content, the language, and we are teaching a skill. We are teaching to do something. So I'm teaching my students to write a letter of complaint. The content is about food, and the language they are going to be using is vocabulary on food and the language for complaints. So you see, it's threefold. And also the text format, because they're going to learn how to write a letter. So we have to take these aspects into consideration. To be continued.